Hello and welcome to the video that every reviewer puts out whenever they run out of ideas. The tier list, yes. Today we have the mid tier. So mid tier for me is $150 to $350. Generally, IEMs in this price will get you the most bang for buck performance, the best value for your money usually lives here. So before we begin, I did include two TWS in here, and that is the Samsung Galaxy Buds 2 Pro and the Moondrop Alice. TWS nowadays do compete with wired IEMs, especially these two. Another thing, let me quickly explain the tier list. Of course, at the top we have blind buy worthy, the best of the best for the price bracket. Below that is worth the demo, pretty self-explanatory, is worth your time to go and find a unit to demo. And yeah, below that is niche, so IEMs that are really good but for very specific tastes. Safe is a good IEM, not an impressive IEM, but an IEM that you might not have a lot to fault, just not impressive. And last but not least, we have the Shadow Realm, which is IEMs that no longer competes in this price bracket whatsoever. Let's first start off with the TWS Galaxy Buds 2 Pro. Is easily for me a blind buy. Yes, yes it is. You might be thinking now, Timmy, is it really that good? Is it so good that it's worth the blind buy? I would say absolutely. For $220, I think it's tuned exceptionally well. I have very little to fault about it. Maybe just a little bit too much upper mid range, just a touch too much, but that's about all my big complaints about it. And if you factor in the fact that it is a TWS as well, it is a steal of a package, quite literally. But even besides the fact that it is a really useful TWS, the sound alone is fantastic and really warrants the blind buy. Alice, Moondrop Alice for me is worth the demo. The one thing I would say about the Alice is the user experience really is not great and the size is not great, but hey, we're talking about sound. On purely sound, it is tuned well and it is worth the demo. There are 3 different tuning settings I think that is really good. The rest are kind of trash. You can check out my reviews for more details on that one. Now on to the IEMs themselves. Blessing 2. First one, Blessing 2. $320, man. This was a blind buy, absolutely. Way back when, right? Maybe like a year ago. Today's though, I don't know. In today's market, there's a lot of IEMs that gives this thing a run for its money. And also, not everyone is gonna like a signature similar to the Blessing 2Dusk. Maybe it's a little bit too heady for you, or treble is a little bit too much. So it has some quirks in it as well, but I would say it's still worth the demo. It's still worth a try. It's not blind buy anymore in today's market. Next is the Blessing 2Dusk, and I would say blind buy, worth the demo, blind buy. The Dust is still a really good IEM, and in the list I'm looking at all the pictures now. I'm like, what beats the Dust here? What comes close to the Dust here? There's a few that comes close, I would say, but nothing outright beats it, and for that, Blessing 2Dusk is still a blind buy for me, even at $330. Next one is Softears Volume. Now this one is really good. It's basically Blessing 2 but cleaner in a way and less harsh in the treble area, so tamer Blessing 2 if you will. Sounds fantastic. The timbre is beautiful. Just keep in mind it can be a little bit aggressive and heady because of the ear gain being a little bit overly boosted in a way, but if you're used to that or you don't mind that, this sounds amazing. Really good. Next one, Timeless. Timeless. Wow. It really kickstarted the whole planar thing, didn't it? And it, at the time, it was the best planar. But nowadays, I kind of find the treble peak very unnatural, and I never listen to the Timeless really because that treble is just a little bit too much. It does add a lot of incisive feeling to the notes, like the notes are so tack sharp on this, but it's just not a natural sound anymore. It has that metallic-y tinge to it due to that the big treble spike. So worth the demo? No. Niche? I would say niche. I say niche. It's not a safe IEM, and it's not really in the Shadow Realm quite yet. If you don't mind the treble spike, it is a nice technical sounding V-shape IEM. Timeless AE, same spot, is just timeless with a little bit more of a balanced signature and also slightly bit tamer in the treble area if I remember correctly. It's not a huge change, it's better than Timeless, but largely gives the Timeless feeling. Raptgo Hook-X, niche as well, same spot as the Timeless. It does have that treble spike as well. It has more bass than the Timeless, so it sounds a little bit warmer, but largely similar in feeling. That timbre is not as natural as it can be. And I think that's just some of the quirks that planar at the time kind of have, and this next one has it as well. It's the S12, S12 Pro, and C12. I'll put them all here because they all have it. That kind of big treble spike does hurt the overall naturalness of the timbre, though in the case of the S12, C12, and S12 Pro, I find that the treble is smoother, a wider band boost if you will, so it's not as peaky as the Timeless and the Hook-X can be, but more of a heady, trebly kind of signature. So I do prefer the S12 family more than the Timeless and the Hook-X. And on the topic of planars, Hook-X by HBB, that one I have not tried, so you don't have to ask me in the comments. I've not tried that one yet. Next one, moving on, we have P1 Max. And P1 Max is arguably one of the safest planars. It just sounds so inoffensive, but again, it does have that treble peak that all planars seem to have at the time. This one I would put actually at safe because, yeah, it has similar problems as the other planars, but it sounds even less impressive overall. Next one, let's do the Dunu Talos first. Now the Talos for me is tuned well. It's one of the planars that's actually tuned well in its regular mode, that is. In hybrid mode, it is absolutely garbage. It's so bad in hybrid mode that makes you think that maybe it shouldn't have had a hybrid mode and keep the price a little bit lower. But for now, I'm gonna have to put it in niche. Yeah, it's still a well-tuned IEM. I like it more than the P1 Max. It's just gimmicky and expensive, that's what it is. And the next and last planar we have is the Heyday. Yes, a newer planar. If you're wondering why the original Station Woo is not in here, because they just announced that it is discontinued. The Heyday is tuned very well. It's actually tuned more like a dynamic driver than a planar. It doesn't have the same planar metallic-y timbre problem or treble peak problem. This sounds smooth, like DD smooth, and absolutely worth the demo. The one issue that I have with it is that the upper mid-range, the vocals, I feel like can be a little cleaner. Next we have Kato. Kato nowadays $190. Safe. It's just a safe IEM, but it's no longer impressive for the price. It just sounds good, but not significantly better than its predecessors like the Aria, Starfield, KXXS. It's just a touch better, but double the price. Elixir for me is in the same spot as the Kato. It sounds similar to the Kato, maybe lean a little bit more warm and bassy than the Kato's more upper mid-range focus, but at the end of the day, it's still very safe tuning, and it doesn't really like impress me anymore, especially for the price. Oxygen, same story, kind of Kato-ish tuning as well. Good, not great. Next we have the IE200, and wow, single dynamic driver has treble, guys. Single dynamic driver can have a lot of treble, and the IE200 kind of proved it. If you guys did not know, single dynamic driver tend to have issues in the treble, being that it's not smooth, if you will, and you don't get a lot of it. Well, the IE200, you get a lot of treble and also smooth at the same time. This one for me would be worth the blind buy if not for the gimmicky bass leak thing that it has that requires you to tape mod and fix yourself, and the cable quality and all the accessories is pretty junk for the price. So because of all of that, worth the demo. IE300, well, you know, there's a slot there in our tier list that is not filled yet. It's still pretty empty, so there you go. I just don't like it anymore. It's a V shape, yes, but the mid-range is very off. The mid-range doesn't sound natural, and for $300, you want a mid-range that is at least in the realm of correctness. Next, we have Legacy 4 and Legacy 5. And Legacy 4 to me is nowadays a safe IEM. Doesn't impress me too much anymore. The upper mid-range can be a little bit smoother. Overall, not bad, not great, just good and safe. L5 though, Shadow Realm, I don't think it's ever been competitive since the first day it came out. It's just muddy, warm sounding, and mid-range is off. Lokahi, Audio Lokahi. Now this one, for me, has some really great qualities, but falls short in the upper mid-range area. I wish it was smoother, and for the price of 200 something now, it's sad to put it in Shadow Realm, but it really does belong there because I don't think it's better than any of the IEMs I put in the safe tier. Mega5P by Hisenior. Now this one, I'm just going based off of memory. I don't own this one personally, but I tried it. I don't remember it being like, wow, or anything like that. But it's good enough to be worth the demo, but put an asterisk on this one because it is quite some time ago. The Midnight to me nowadays is a pretty safe IEM. I would say the Yume 2 is better for me because the timbre on the Yume 2 sounds more natural. So for me, that kind of throws the Midnight into the safe territory. It's not bad, again, not great. That's what safe is. If you still want to buy IEMs in the safe tier, by all means, I think you would enjoy them. Yume 2 for me goes to the worth the demo. I think the treble area, the timbre overall is better than the Midnight and the overall balance as well. Next one, we have Bravery and Bravery AE. Bravery is kind of like a cheaper SA6, a cheaper Anole VX in tuning, but more heavy on the bass, and unfortunately that does add some mud that the SA6 and the QDC IEMs don't have. And for the time, $250 was good for it. Nowadays, not so much. Safe, maybe safe. Yeah, I'm gonna put it in safe still. It's still decent sounding, not impressive anymore. And same goes with the AE. It's not a huge improvement over the original, but an improvement nonetheless. Before we go to Performer 5, let's just do the T-Twins first. T1 is Shadow Realm, $300. The mid-range is just not. T2 is a safe IEM through and through. I don't think anyone would hate the T2, but I don't think anyone would outright love the T2 either. Very balanced sounding IEM. Not much to fault, not much to praise. Absolutely worthy of just safe territory. Last one, Aful Performer 5. God, what can I say about this? Oh, fantastic little gem here. Worth the demo. This is not a blind buy for one particular reason, and that is a slight unit variations between each unit. Some sets are bassier, some sets have more treble, some sets more balance, which is a problem that plagues Hi-Fi in general, but more variations have been found on the Performer 5 in particular, more than the other models that I've observed. Now, the deviations aren't big and most of them still sound similar, but because of that, I don't feel safe putting it in blind buy, even though I do love this set quite a bit. Alright, that's it for the tier list. Of course, if you want to do this tier list yourself, link to it is down below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and without further ado, let me now thank my Patreon members. For the $9 tier, we have Bart, Chadwick, Geeky Audio, Go210, K, Norm, Robert, Sunirol, and $18 we have Dr. P, Kirk, Mason, Sar, and Paul Metal. Thank you so much for all of your support. If you guys want to support the channel yourself, link to Patreon is down below. Many good perks there, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace! And oh, of course this list is subjective, so don't kill me. Bye.